You said you'd start yesterday, and the day before that, and last month. But here you are, again, scrolling, searching, hoping that motivation will strike like lightning and change your life. Let me ask you something brutal. How many more tomorrows are you planning to waste before you realize they're not coming? You keep lying to yourself, calling it rest when it's really avoidance, calling it not the right time when it's just fear in disguise. You've mastered the art of hiding behind almost. Almost started, almost ready, almost brave, but almost never changed a life, you know it. And it's eating you alive. If that sentence stung good, it's supposed to. Because today we're done making excuses. Today we stop pretending, and we start climbing. You think you're tired, you think you're unmotivated, you think you're just not ready yet. But that's not the real problem, is it? The truth is much darker. And if we're being brutally honest, it's this. You're afraid of becoming the version of yourself you said you wanted to be. Because that version doesn't allow excuses. That version doesn't give you room to hide. That version shows up. That version climbs. And if you step into that version, then you'll have to take responsibility. Responsibility for your time. Responsibility for your choices. Responsibility for the years you've already thrown away pretending that you were almost there. But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. You've made excuses a part of your identity. You say, I'm just not motivated lately. But you binge-watch other people's lives instead of building your own. You say, I'm overwhelmed. But you've been scrolling for 3 hours trying to feel something. You say, I'm too busy. But you haven't touched the one thing that actually matters to your future. Let's be honest, your life isn't too full. It's too distracted. You've trained your mind to seek the path of least resistance, because it's easier to stay confused than to commit. It's easier to say, I'm figuring things out, than to admit you're afraid of failing. Because if you start climbing and fall, now it's real. Now it's proof. Now the illusion dies, so instead you stay where it's safe, where no one can criticize, where no one can expect too much, where potential protects you from accountability. But you weren't born to live inside your own potential forever. Potential without action is just regret in slow motion. And maybe the hardest truth is this: excuses feel good. They're comforting. They let you believe you're still trying without actually doing anything. They give you a way out. They make it someone else's fault. They let you hold onto your pride while your dreams rot in the back of your mind. You can tell yourself that your circumstances are different, that you have more on your plate, that your childhood made it harder, that your boss is toxic, that your partner doesn't support you, that no one sees what you're going through. And maybe all of that is true. But here's what's also true. None of it changes the fact that you're still responsible for where you go from here. And that responsibility scares you. It's not laziness, it's fear. Fear of pressure, fear of failure. Fear of having no one to blame if you actually gave your all and it still wasn't enough. So you sabotage yourself before you even try. You numb yourself with distractions. You surround yourself with people who validate your stagnation. You lie beautifully, convincingly to yourself. But lies don't build legacies, and you know that. That voice inside you, the one whispering late at night that you're meant for more. That voice doesn't speak unless there's truth in it. You don't get that kind of haunting from a life that's supposed to stay small. You don't feel this kind of restlessness if you're meant to play it safe. This isn't discomfort, it's a summons. And excuses are how you keep hitting decline on your calling. So let's call this what it is. It's not a matter of energy. It's not a matter of time. It's a matter of identity. You have decided, somewhere deep down, that this version of you, the one who delays, who hesitates, who avoids, is who you are. But that's not who you are. That's who you've practiced being. And practice makes permanent. So every time you hit snooze, every time you say, I'll start next week, every time you lie to yourself about why you didn't show up today, you're cementing that false identity, not because it's true, but because it's familiar. And familiarity feels like truth, even when it's destroying you. So what's the way out? You have to break your loyalty to your excuses. Stop protecting them like they're part of your personality. They're not. They're parasites. They feed off your fear. They love your hesitation. They grow every time you say, I'll do it later. And every time you feed them, they take another inch of your potential and turn it into dust. The truth is, your excuses aren't valid. They're just well-rehearsed. They sound like truth because you've said them so many times. But deep down, they don't even convince you anymore, do they? You're tired of being stuck. You're tired of watching time pass. You're tired of pretending you don't care when it's the only thing that keeps you up at night. So stop running. Stop rationalizing. Stop making it pretty. This is your moment of truth. Either you keep feeding the story of why you or you start writing the story of how you did. And I promise you, that second story is already inside of you. It's just waiting for you to shut the excuses up long enough. To let it out. But doing nothing is a choice. And that choice has a cost, a massive cost. You don't just stay in place when you refuse to act. You slide backwards, and that's what makes inaction so dangerous. It whispers to you, you're okay, just rest a little longer. But behind the scenes, your confidence is eroding. Your identity is dissolving. Your dreams are dying slowly, quietly, with no funeral. Think about it every single time you say, not today. You're not just postponing a task. You're telling your future self, you're not worth fighting for. Every skipped workout, every idea you never pitched, every opportunity you watched walk by because you weren't ready. You're not just delaying success. You're building a habit of surrender. And over time, that becomes your default. The longer you stay still, the heavier it feels to move, not because your body can't, but because your mind has started to believe the lie. This is just who I am now. And that lie, it's seductive. It's dangerous. It becomes a quiet anthem in your head. I guess I'm just not cut out for more. I guess this is as good as it gets. I guess I'll watch other people climb while I sit here and clap from the sidelines. But you weren't born for sidelines. You weren't made to observe life. You were made to live it, to build, to shape, to become. And here's where it gets worse. When you do nothing for long enough, you start to resent people who do something. Their ambition threatens you. Their progress becomes your pain, because deep down you know. They're not smarter than you, not stronger, not luckier. They just did what you were too scared to do. Start. You know what else it costs you? Time. The most precious currency you'll ever have. Every week you delay is a week you'll never get back. Every year you stall is a year your future self has to work twice as hard to recover. Let's do the math. If you had just started that thing a year ago, even with small, clumsy steps, you would have already made it halfway by now. But instead, you're still here thinking about it, still here Googling motivation, still here hoping the pain of doing it somehow becomes less than the pain of staying stuck. Here's the twist, though, that moment never comes. The pain of action is always short-term, but the pain of regret, it's sticky. It settles in your chest. It wakes you up at 2 a.m. and asks, why didn't you just try? People don't crumble because of one bad day. They fall apart because they let days turn into weeks, and weeks into years, until they can't even recognize the person in the mirror. Doing nothing isn't safe. It's not harmless. It's not a pause. It's a slow erasure of your potential. It's the quiet death of who you could have become. And that's what you're risking every time you say, I'll do it tomorrow. But let's be real, tomorrow's already full of excuses, of distractions, of everything except what you actually need to do. So what will it be? Another round of justifying, rationalizing, numbing. Another week where you just weren't feeling it. Or will this be the moment where you draw the line and say, oh, this ends now, because if you don't make that decision, life will make it for you, and life is ruthless to the passive. It will roll over you, bury your dreams, and leave you wondering where the time went. So let me ask you something. What's the cost of staying where you are? How much more of your identity are you willing to lose? How many more years are you willing to throw away? Just so you don't have to feel uncomfortable for 5 minutes. Because if the answer is none, then it's time. It's time to rise, to climb, and to do something not perfect, not polished, but real. And if you can't do it for the results yet, do it so you can finally respect the person you see in the mirror again. Because that, more than any success, any money, any applause, is what you're really chasing, not the goal, but the version of you who shows up. And you don't get that version by waiting, you get it by climbing. Here's the part no one tells you. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need a master plan. You don't even need to believe in yourself. Yet, you just need to move, even if it's messy, even if it's awkward, even if your hands are shaking. The breakthrough insight, the one that changes everything, is this. Action comes before confidence, not the other way around. You don't wait to feel motivated. You move until motivation catches up. You don't wait until the fear is gone. You walk into it and discover it was mostly smoke. You don't wait until you're no longer tired. You take the next step anyway. Because the people who build powerful lives, they're not the ones who had it all figured out. They're the ones who got tired of waiting. They didn't feel powerful at the beginning. They weren't overflowing with belief. They just got fed up enough with their own excuses to do something, anything. That's the pivot. That's the real shift. When the pain of staying stuck becomes greater than the fear of starting, that's when you finally move. But what if you didn't wait for the pain to get unbearable? What if you chose to act now before you lose another year, another version of yourself? The truth is, you don't become unstoppable by thinking about it. You do manifest your way to momentum. You earn it. One ugly rep at a time. One awkward step. One day where you did something when you really didn't want to, And that's where transformation lives, in the unglamorous, in the uncomfortable, in the moment you show up, imperfectly, inconsistently, but still standing. Let's be clear. This isn't about hustle porn. It's not about destroying your health or pushing yourself into burnout. This is about reclaiming your power. Because every time you choose action over avoidance, you take a brick off the wall that's been keeping you small. You tell your brain, I'm not helpless. I'm not stuck. I might not have all the answers, but I'm willing to find out. And slowly the excuses lose their grip. The fear gets quieter. The hesitation fades. Because you're not waiting for confidence to save you. You're building it through action. That's the paradox. Confidence doesn't come before the climb. It comes because of the climb. You don't believe in yourself first. You prove to yourself, step by step, that you're worth believing in. So no, you don't need a grand plan today. You don't need a 5-year vision board. You just need one moment, this moment, where you say, I've had enough. I'm doing something about it. And that doesn't have to be big. You don't need to quit your job or change your whole life overnight. It could be setting your alarm for 6 a.m. It could be finally starting that draft. It could be putting down your phone and writing that email. It could be walking into the gym for the first time in a year. It's not the size of the action that matters. It's the signal you send to yourself that you are no longer someone who waits, that you are no longer someone who shrinks, that you are, from this moment on, someone who climbs. Because once you realize you don't need perfect circumstances to start, you stop giving your power away to everything outside of you. You stop saying, I'll do it when, and start saying, I'm doing it now. Now is the breakthrough. This exact second, if you let it be. Because the difference between who you are now and who you're trying to become is a single choice, and it's always been yours to make. Why do those tiny, seemingly pointless actions shift everything? Because your brain isn't built to respond to plans. It's built to respond to evidence. And every action you take, no matter how small, is a piece of evidence. Every time you move forward, you're collecting proof that you're not the version of yourself you've been stuck in. You're rewriting the story your brain tells about who you are. Here's what happens. Your brain loves efficiency. It builds habits, mental shortcuts, so you don't have to rethink everything every day. That's why excuses feel automatic. That's why procrastination becomes your default. Because over time, inaction becomes a habit. But here's the good news. Action is also a habit, and even one single move can disrupt the old pattern. It sends a signal. This is not who I am anymore. Your brain, especially the part responsible for memory and emotion, the hippocampus, takes note. It says, wait, we didn't scroll today. We did something different. That tiny break in the loop creates space. And in that space, change begins. Let's take motivation. Most people think motivation is something you get before taking action. Wrong. Neuroscience shows that dopamine, the chemical that drives motivation, is actually released when you start. Not when you think, not when you plan, when you move. That means the very thing you're waiting for only comes after you take the first step. It's called the action motivation loop. You take a step right arrow, you feel a small win, your brain gives you a dopamine hit right arrow, you feel motivated to do more, repeat. That's the engine. That's how people get disciplined. Not because they were born different, not because they had some superhuman mindset, but because they created momentum through motion. Let's break it down even further. Imagine you've been sitting on your couch for weeks, avoiding that one thing. You finally say, "Okay, I'll just do 5 minutes." You do it, it's not glamorous, but your brain logs it. Now you're no longer the person who never acts. You're the person who acted today. That identity shift, even if it's 1%, is a crack in the wall. And here's what happens next. You start trusting yourself again. That's the real transformation. Because the biggest damage excuses cause isn't just lost time, it's broken self-trust. You stop believing your own promises. I'll wake up early. I'll start next week. I'll be consistent this time. Over and over you say it and don't do it. And your brain learns your word means nothing. But when you act, even on something small, you rebuild that trust. You make a promise, you keep it. Now your brain goes, "Oh, maybe we're serious now." And that shifts everything. It's not about achieving a giant goal today. It's about proving to yourself that you show up when you say you will, that you're no longer powered by emotion but by intention. And here's another reason this works. Your body and your mind are always in conversation. When your body stays still for too long, your mind believes you're stuck. When your body moves, even a little, your mind says, "We're going somewhere." There's a term in psychology for this, embodied cognition. It means your physical actions literally shape your thoughts. You can't wait until your mindset changes to move. You move and your mindset follows. Ever notice how a short walk can clear your head? Or how standing tall makes you feel more in control? That's not coincidence. That's biology. Your physiology is your power tool. And yet most people never use it. They sit. They slump. They scroll and then wonder why they feel powerless. So here's the key. Motion creates clarity, not sitting, not thinking, not planning. Moving, even badly, even briefly, wakes up your system. It tells your nervous system, we're not in threat mode anymore. We're not frozen. We're active. We're alive. We're in control. And the more often you do it, the more your brain stops seeing action as a threat and starts seeing it as who you are. That's how you become someone who climbs, not by reading quotes, not by waiting for signs, but by training your system to trust movement over fear. So the next time your mind tells you, "Don't bother, you won't finish," or "Wait until you feel better," just take one more day off. You respond not with argument, but with action. You take the step anyway. Because you've learned the secret, the step is the cure. The movement is the medicine. And motion, not motivation, is what rewires your life. Let's cut through the noise. You don't need more theories. You need a system. Something so clear, so simple that your excuses can't talk you out of it. So here it is. 5 practical steps to break the cycle and start climbing, right now. Today, step 1. Identify your core excuse. Every one of us has a go-to excuse that we whisper to ourselves when we're afraid. "I'm tired. I'm too busy. I'm not ready." Write yours down, word for word. Don't clean it up. Don't sugarcoat it. Be brutally honest. What's the line you always repeat that lets you off the hook? Because once you see it clearly, it loses power. Step 2. Flip it into a trigger statement. Now take that excuse and rewrite it as your activation sentence. Instead of "I'm too tired," write "Even when I'm tired, I move anyway." Instead of "I don't have time," write "I make time for what matters, even for 10 minutes." Tape this to your mirror. Set it as your phone wallpaper. Read it every morning, because this isn't just a phrase, it's your new identity. Step 3, commit to a 5-minute climb. Not a perfect morning routine, not a life overhaul, just 5 minutes a day of intentional forward motion. Pick one task that aligns with your goal, write one paragraph. Do 10 push-ups, organize one folder, record 30 seconds of that idea, read 2 pages, don't wait until it feels like enough. It won't, but that's the point. Momentum doesn't care about size, it cares about direction. Step 4, log your wins every single day. At the end of each day, write down one sentence. Today I climbed by. And fill in the blank. It could be as small as resisting the snooze button, or saying no to that scroll trap, or following through on one task you promised yourself. Why does this matter? Because success isn't built on intensity, it's built on evidence. Your brain needs to see proof that you're becoming someone different. This log becomes your archive of proof, of effort, of identity change. Step 5, build a no matter what rule. Choose one action you do every day, no matter what, sick. Still do it, busy, still do it, unmotivated, especially do it. It could be one push-up, 1 minute of meditation, one email sent. The goal isn't productivity, the goal is integrity. And to prove to yourself that you show up. Not when it's easy, but because it's who you are now. That's how you win, not in sprints, but in the thousands of tiny, invisible moments you chose not to break your promise to yourself. And if you do these 5 things, even for 1 week, you will feel something shift. You'll walk differently, speak differently. Carry your day with a little more gravity, because now you're not waiting, you're not wishing, you're climbing, so start today. Set a timer. Open a blank note. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Pick the thing you've been avoiding and move toward it, not to conquer it all at once, but to show your mind, your body, and your future that you're no longer stuck. You're in motion, and in motion, everything changes. Let me tell you a story. 3 years ago, there was a guy named Marcus. He wasn't broke. He wasn't homeless. He wasn't battling some life-shattering tragedy. He was just stuck in a job he hated, stuck in a routine he despised, stuck in a loop of making promises to himself that he never kept. Every Sunday night, he would make a plan. This week, I'll wake up early. This week, I'll go to the gym. This week, I'll finally apply to that better job. And by Wednesday, the plan was dead. He'd hit snooze, scroll social media for 2 hours, rationalize his way out of doing anything hard. And the worst part wasn't the failure. It was the quiet self-hate that followed. The shame, the erosion of self-respect, that voice in his head saying, "See, you always say you'll change, but you never do." Marcus didn't need more information. He had watched all the motivational clips. He'd read the books. He'd even bought a planner he never used. What he lacked was motion. And one night after another day wasted, he broke, not dramatically, not loudly. There were no tears or breakthroughs, just one quiet moment where he whispered to himself, "I can't keep doing this." And that night, he did something different. He didn't overhaul his life. He didn't quit his job. He didn't post a grand declaration online. He just set his alarm for 6:00 a.m. The next morning, he didn't feel like getting up. But this time, he didn't negotiate. He got out of bed. He sat on the floor. He did 10 push-ups, that's it. Then he showered, went to work, same job, same people, but something felt different. Because for the first time in years, he had made a promise to himself and kept it. The next day, he got up again. He didn't feel powerful, he didn't feel transformed, but he moved. And movement, day after day, became his rescue. He didn't go viral, he didn't get rich overnight, but within 3 months he had lost 20 pounds. Within 6 months, he had built a small freelance business on the side. Within 12 months, he left the job he hated and built a life he was proud of. Not because he found some secret, but because he stopped lying to himself. He stopped making excuses, and he started to climb. And here's the part he'll tell you if you ever meet him. It wasn't about the job, it wasn't about the body, it was about who I became when I decided to move, no matter how I felt. See, Marcus didn't change his life with a leap. He changed it with a rep, with a sentence, with one early morning where he didn't listen to the same old excuses. He'll tell you, your life turns around when your identity does. And identity changes when your actions do. Not someday, not when you feel like it, but today, now. So if you're listening to this thinking, yeah, but my life is messier. Yeah, but my situation is harder. Then you're exactly who this story is for, because Marcus wasn't extraordinary. And you don't need to be either. You just need to be honest. You need to get tired enough of your own voice saying later. And you need to do something small, ugly, uncomfortable, but real. That's how change begins, not with a miracle, but with a moment, a decision, a climb, and that story, it doesn't just belong to Marcus, it can be yours. See, you're still the same. This is where most people give up, not because they failed, but because they expected not to. That's the first trap to avoid, trap 1, expecting consistency to feel easy. You will miss a day, you will fall off. You will doubt yourself again. That doesn't mean it's over, it means you're human. But most people confuse a slip with a stop. They miss one workout and think, I've ruined everything. They sleep in once and spiral into shame. Don't make failure mean more than it does. Missing a day doesn't undo your progress. Quitting because you missed a day does. What to do instead? Build a recovery rule. Make this your new mantra. Never miss twice. If all fine, just don't let it turn into a pattern. Trap 2, measuring too soon. You do 1 week of action and you start looking for results. You check the mirror, you refresh your inbox, you count the likes, you weigh yourself every day. But here's the truth. The results you're looking for lag behind the actions you take. They don't show up right away. And when you obsess over quick outcomes, you disconnect from the process. You start working for applause instead of identity. What to do instead? Focus on your inputs, not outcomes. Ask yourself, did I show up today? Did I honor the promise I made to myself? That's the metric, that's the real scoreboard. Trap 3. Comparing your climb to someone else's summit. You finally get moving. You're proud until you open Instagram. And there they are, people already where you want to be, crushing it, posting wins, making it look easy. And suddenly your small wins feel worthless. Your mountain feels steeper. You feel behind. But let's be clear, you don't know their climb. You don't see the years, the failures, the late nights, the breakdowns. You're not late. You're just early in your own story. What to do instead? Put on blinders. Your only comparison is who you were yesterday. That's it. Celebrate your pace. Own your progress. Trap 4. Waiting to feel like it again. The first few days might feel amazing. You've got adrenaline, momentum. But then it fades. Now the voice says, I'm not in the zone today. I'll be more focused tomorrow. Let's be honest. If you only act when you feel like it, your results will always be average. Because feelings are unreliable. Discipline isn't about how you feel, it's about what you decide. What to do instead, decide once. Then follow the decision, not your mood. Create a system so simple your emotions can't ruin it. 5 minutes, one step, one move. Don't ask, do I feel like climbing today? You just climb, trap 5. Making it too complicated. You'll be tempted to optimize everything. The perfect routine, the best productivity app, the right podcast, journal, playlist, schedule, but complexity is the enemy of consistency. The more moving parts, the more excuses to stop. What to do instead? Simplify, build a boring system that works, show up. Do your thing, shut it down, repeat. Let success be dull behind the scenes, so it can be loud in your results. And the most dangerous trap of all, believing that the work is ever finished. There's no mountaintop, no moment where everything clicks forever, no final destination. There's only the next rep, the next choice, the next climb. And when you stop expecting arrival and start embracing the journey, you become unstoppable, so expect the traps. They're coming, but now you'll recognize them. And when you see them, you won't panic, you won't spiral, you'll smile. Because you know what they are, signs that you're on the right path. Let me bring it all home for you. You've heard the truth. You've faced the excuses. You've seen the cost. You've learned the steps. Now comes the only part that really matters. What are you going to do about it today, not tomorrow? Not when life calms down. Not after one more video, one more scroll, one more motivational high. Right now, this moment is the only one you truly own. And if you let this moment pass without acting, you're not stuck, you're choosing to stay stuck. So here's what I want you to do. A challenge, a line in the sand. Within the next 60 minutes, take one real action. Something that moves your life forward. Something that makes a dent in the version of you you've been avoiding. It doesn't have to be huge, just undeniable. Delete that app. Go for the walk. Send the email. Open the laptop and write one paragraph. Drink the damn water. Clean one drawer. Cancel that subscription. Make the call. Do something. And when that voice creeps in, because it will, saying, it's not enough. It won't matter. It can wait. You answer it with motion. You say, I climb anyway. Because climbing isn't about speed. It's about direction. And when you take even one step up, you're no longer the person who sat still. So don't overthink it. Don't romanticize it. Don't wait until the timing is perfect or the stars align. They won't. The only thing that needs to align is you. With you, your words and your actions, your dreams and your behavior, your potential and your proof. You don't need to believe in the whole mountain yet. You just need to believe in this step, this moment, this breath, this climb. So get up, Do it, right now, and when you're done, say it out loud, "Today I climbed." Then get ready, because tomorrow, you do it again. Picture this, you're standing at the base of a massive mountain. Your mountain, the one with your name on it, etched into the stone not by fate but by the fire inside you, and all around you footprints from other people who walked halfway up, who got tired, who made excuses, and turned back. Some left gear behind, some left their dreams in the dirt, some left notes scratched into the rock, too steep. Maybe later. Not worth it. And now it's your turn. No one's watching, no music, no applause, just you. And the mountain. Here's the question. Are you going to leave your story at the base with theirs, unfinished, unread, unlived? Or are you going to climb? Because this mountain doesn't require perfection. It doesn't care how long it takes. It doesn't care how many times you fall. It just demands one thing, that you keep moving. So before you scroll away, before you go back to your routine, you just pause and ask yourself, if I don't climb now, then when? And if not me, who? Because the truth is, no one is coming to do it for you. No one is going to carry you up. But the good news, you don't need them to. You've always had what it takes. You just forgot. You let the noise drown it out. You let your past write a script your future never agreed to. But now you remember. And now the next move is yours. So go, climb, even if it's just one step, even if it's shaky. Even if your legs tremble and your chest burns and your mind screams, turn back. You go anyway. Because at the end of your life, when they ask you who you were, don't let your answer be, I almost started. Let it be, I climbed. Now shut this off and go prove it.